two, one. Yes, here we go. Hello, we are gathered today to conduct yet another debate. And the topic that we got today is public transport is better than owning a vehicle. And I will be supporting the motion, whereas Diptesh will be against it. Okay, so let me start. Okay, if I draw back into my memories, then I have really very good memories with public transport. Like majority of my life from college or even in the market, I used to travel by bus, and I really find it very comforting. And I could imagine myself going on the last seat, taking a nap, just putting some earphone, taking a window seat, observing people in and out, and that was very comforting to me. Okay, let me. So today I'll be telling why public transport is better, and I have around six strong points to support it. Firstly, I would say about the. Okay, as I've started with the introduction from my life, I would also like to draw some other memories like school picnic trip. Like we used to be in the same bus and like we used to play, we used to sing songs. That was one of the best time. Nextly, I would also like to state that in public transport, you get to see different perspectives of people, which is not really possible when you're owning a vehicle. Like you could see people struggling in different form. Like if somebody is disabled, you could see how much they are struggling to. Like you become a very observant person, and you see somebody else's perspective as well. So that is another thing why I really love public transport. Okay, so these were some points just from my experiences, but I have other six strong points, which five strong points, which truly supports why public transport is better. My next point would be about environmental concern, which is the major major point to be considered. For example, like noise pollution, when there is more public transport in the nation or the vicinity, then there are less bikes or cars in the surrounding. So there's less noise pollution, and also the carbon emission decreases. And I think it is really a strength of the nation when there are more public transport, and people are choosing more public transport than the owning the of the vehicle. This also reduces the parking space, and for all this reason and for environmental concern, I strongly believe that public transport is much more better. My next focus would be on the cost. Like it is very where in the today's world where diesel and petrol is like reaching the price of diesel and petrol is reaching the sky, whereas the public transport is like around 15 or 20 rupees maybe, and it is much cheaper to travel by bus in that perspective. If I have to draw my attention to other economic points, then I would also consider some businesses like Ola, Uber, and I would like you to imagine like you are going in a different city, you are maybe for job or any other for job. Then do you think will you owning a vehicle is a good option there? No, right? That time you'll obviously choose some public transport or and thus I feel for business perspective also, public transport is much more feasible. uh, my next concern will be about the vulnerable people like old age or children below 18 years of age. For them, driving is not really possible, and that time taxi or buses will be the best option for them. And this also again makes me believe that public transport is much more better than the owning of vehicle. And if I have to draw back my attention and take a very wider perspective or wider field of view, then I would like to highlight on international travels. Like it is about impossible for a normal person to own a private jet or have a private transport, whereas airplane and train are the best in that concern. And it also helps in the export and import and all the other economic benefit, gives many economic benefits. So, with this strong 6 point, I rest my case saying public transport is far better than owning a vehicle. Yeah. Over to Diptesh.
Yeah, I think those were some really good points. Uh, the motion for today is why public transport is better than owning private vehicles. And I'm in opposition of that. And I have a few points to support my claim. The first point is, as we know, in tier two cities or tier three cities, and in most cities, at least across India, the roads are just not properly connected. right? The connectivity is just bad. I can give you an example of myself, right? I traveled using buses to my college, right? But what used to happen is, uh, I used to take a bus, and the bus used to drop me like around almost a kilometer away from my house, right? Because that was like a path that it used to take, and my house was somewhere, situated a little bit uh, inside, right? So what I had to do was I had to, sort of walk that entire distance myself. So that was really not that a very great experience. So connectivity wise, the roads are bad, and that is what the public transport would follow, right? And I think uh, when you opt for public transport, it takes a lot of time, and it is just not as convenient as it would be when you have a private vehicle, right? I can give you another example. It used to take me 3 hours, literally 3 hours, to commute from my home to college every single day through bus. But I came through a personal vehicle once, just one day, and it literally took me 45 minutes. That is such a huge difference. Going from 3 hours to 45 minutes, that would save me a lot of time. Looking back, I feel that if I had a personal transport throughout my college, it would have saved me a lot of time. I could have spent that time doing something different, right? I could have spent it more productively. So that is one point. Another point is convenience. The convenience you get with your private transport is just not comparable with public transport, in my opinion. My second point would be safety and privacy, especially for children and elders. So a lot of elderly people would like to travel too, right? And you can say that in buses and trains, there are seats that are reserved for elderly people. But most of the times, the experience is just not as comfortable, at least in India, uh, for elders or even for very small children to travel in the bus. Like, for example, again, an example would be during peak hours like 6 p.m., 3 p.m., 1 p.m., all of those really rush hours when most of the people are actually traveling or want to travel. Buses are crowded, extremely crowded, no space to literally breathe or stand. And those would and that would really be a bad experience, especially for elders and children. So safety and privacy wise, again, I believe personal vehicles hold an edge over public transport. My third point would be economically, if you look at it from a wider perspective, there's so many vehicle industries, right? Motor industries. All of those industries need to survive and run, right? And they'll only survive if you buy their cars. So buying your personal vehicle and using it drives a whole different economy. And that is another very strong point why I feel owning a personal vehicle leads to an overall growth. Looking at it from an economic perspective too. Uh, and yeah, to conclude, owning a personal vehicle gives you extreme freedom, safety, and privacy. Uh, and those are my points to support my claim.
Lovely, Dipesh. Let's go to the next phase. Rebuttals. Would you like to start with some questions?
Should we take some time to
Yeah,
go over each one's point?
yeah.
Okay.
Fine. Can we start, Diptesh?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead. You could ask me.
Okay. Your first point was perspective, right? Traveling in public transport gives you a different perspective and helps you look at people with disability, people that struggle in their own ways, and gives you like a broader view than what you had before. But I do not agree that public transport is the only way to get that perspective. I feel all of these experiences could be gained through literally any other public way, right? Like if you even if you go out, if you go to hospitals, if you go to other public places, you will see someone struggling in some other way, right? And that could also give you a different perspective. So that's why I feel public traveling in public transport is not the only way to get that perspective. Secondly, cost. You mentioned diesel and petrol is getting expensive, and that's why I
Mhm.
think the motor industry also recognizes this, and that's why we've sort of started transitioning to electric vehicles, which are slightly cheaper. You could argue on that, but they are slightly cheaper to charge than your traditional vehicles. So I think EVs sort of handle that point of cost. Another point was noise. EVs are a great example of that. Again, EVs almost don't have any noise. That slight whirring sound that is there, that is literally purposely put to not make them totally not to make people aware that they are when they are crossing roads and stuff. So I think noise pollution is also handled pretty well in if you opt for electric vehicles. And your third point was jobs, and say you go for a job in another place or even in another city in your own country, right? You would not want to own a private vehicle there. But I think bicycles are also private vehicles, right? And if you give me a choice uh, between traveling at my own freedom using a bicycle, uh, that would I would obviously choose a bicycle over my public transport because that gives me the freedom to leave whenever I want to go to any other place. Road connectivity is not really a problem because I'm not dependent on bus stops. And if you talk about the effort that it takes to bicycle, I think there are better. I think there are bicycles that are electric too, or that you sort of support you, and you don't have to pedal the whole way. uh, so even bicycles are a private vehicle, and they would be a very good alternative to public transport. So public transport is not the only way. You don't have to be dependent on it. Is what I feel.
Yes. Okay, to answer that, firstly about the perspective, I too agree to you that we could gain it through other means as well. That was just my from my personal experience. I was just trying to say that I feel very lively when I travel by public transport, and like I don't have to be continuously driving as well. Like when I'm driving I should be very aware, but in the public transport I can just nap down and do whatever I feel like doing. I could just go through some podcast which could also make me like that which could also save on to my that time of travel, or I could just sleep. Sleeping is also very beneficial for that. Next point was about the cost. Yes, you mentioned about cost, and like you told that EVs are much more cheaper, and yes, that is very debatable. Like if you consider EV itself, then the battery charge, if there's any hardware issues, then you'll have to pay a lot, and that is also a very major concern. And EV itself is another debatable topic. So whereas I would like to highlight how public transport is much more cost efficient. Firstly, I would say about the I mentioned about like your charges are maybe 5 to 20 rupees. Plus, if you take monthly or weekly passes, then you get some really good discounts. Whereas you don't really get any discounts on petrols. And I would also like to highlight one situation like in a owning a car is much more difficult like for a normal person. And when you have a sheltered vehicle, for example public transport, you can protect yourself through many rainy days or very hot sun. If there's very uh, if there's very much hot sun and like you don't want to travel by bike every day, then it's really very efficient for a common person to shift to having public transport for few days. Mine, your next concern was also about noise, and you said about EV. Yes, EV is a really good alternative for that. I would agree for at least for noise. I would agree agree, but then again, I would say that EV is not really very economical for like for a common person to buy. Although the billings are like you have to just charge it, but for an initial buying, it is really very expensive. And also, even though there are many subsidies existing, but then it is like not really that optimal option. Whereas if you have lesser if everybody starts switching to public transport, then the even the vehicles on the ground will be less, and you also save a lot in the parking. Like you don't have to worry about parking anytime, like there are lesser bikes, so it also helps in that. Like even the what even traffic jams will be reducing if we like maximum people turn to public transport. Your last question was about okay, about bicycle. Okay, that is really a good point about bicycle. But if we have to think, then as you have also mentioned about the 3 hours commute you had from your school to home, then I think bicycle will be really not that good option. Like it would take even more than that, and it will also drain away your energy. So like you don't have to physically like think every time like which side to go, which side to do this. You don't have to do any mechanical work. You just sit in the bus and just you reach, and like you could do other tasks like maybe listening to your note, going through your notes, or I think that is really an optimal way. Yeah, that those were all the answers to your questions. Do you have any other question, Dipesh, or can I ask you?
Yeah, I have a few more points. What do you think would a person do in an emergency, right? Say there's a you have to go in a hospital, right? You have to rush to a hospital, something has happened. Or say it's say you want to get something, not a hospital, say you want to get something from the market very soon. Or to think of a better example, actually, so you've got some emergency, okay, and waiting for public transport is just not the option.
Hmm.
So wouldn't you think having, a dependable private vehicle would be a very good option, because then you really don't have to worry. You can, uh, in case there's an emergency. So don't you think that would be better to have a private vehicle? And another thing you mentioned was you would be able to sleep and you would be able to listen to podcasts or do something else while you're traveling in a public transport. I think that I personally believe that it seems possible initially, but what ends up happening is your buses or your public transport is so noisy, so crowded that it is a constant distraction. So you are actually not able to focus on what you're trying to do. Say you try to read, it's almost impossible to focus in all of that noise, all of the crowd, people moving in and out.
Hmm.
Even if you try to sleep, your sleep is just, it's not, I mean, I would say you don't really get a sleep. You're just slightly midway somewhere. So that is something that I would want to say.
Yes. Okay, I would like to have a minute to think on it. First was about the emergency situation you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
And what was the second theme? Second theme. Okay, about the sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, whereas it is a very nice, well concern about the emergency of health, especially if somebody is not well, then having a bike is a better option. But I think in a living in like the nation, the ambulance system should be really good in that case, and like even that is another major concern. And like there should be good ambulance frequency. And if even there are some ambulance if you need some first aid treatment, then there are bike as an ambulance, and I have seen it in many regions. I think that stuff should be well maintained. Like it should be more improved, and that would really help in the emergencies, especially for healthcare. And your next concern, and sometimes, if there is a bike and if you take the person to the hospital like on your own, it might be more riskful than getting professional care. So I would really appreciate, it's a very valid concern, and like there should be something done so that the ambulance commute is more faster than the blinkit and all those services. Your other concern was about any emergency and you have to buy something. Maybe I just felt the need of buying salt or something. uh, that is also a valid concern, but most of the people, they do a weekly like buying, and they have a like they know what to buy. Whereas in this scenario where you sometimes it might be a pseudo emergency, it might not be that emergent, but you will be like having some impulsive thoughts of buying certain things, and you just take your bike and go, which you don't really realize, but it's a very even for small distance you could just walk and bring. Like most of the shops are very near to us, maybe 5 minutes walk. So having reliance on the public transport will really help us, to help environment heal in some ways. Okay. Yes,
Yep,
sir.
those were pretty good points.
This make me realize about okay, this makes me ask you a question. What about the international transports, and like going from one state to another? Do you think going through public transport is a private owned vehicle is a much more option for that?
Uh, that is a very good point, actually. If you're talking about interstate travels within your countries, I believe traveling via your own vehicle, like a car, right, would be feasible to some extent, and it would be convenient too. If you're talking about international or cross-country travel, then that though has to be done using commercial planes. So there's no other option for it. If there would be an option, then
There is an
that would
option,
be.
private jets.
Oh, private jets are again owned by a very little population, right? Just celebrities
Yes.
and politicians and stuff. So that again would not be a good option. So if you're talking about interstate travels where it's within a country and you know it's reachable through a car, then public transport, then private transport would be feasible, is what I feel.
Okay. Okay, my next question to you, Diptej, would be about the carbon imprints. If more people switch to public transport, don't you think the uh, it will heal the environment and help in environment for environment?
I think that's a very valid point. But again, if you're talking about emissions that your petrol and diesel vehicles have, there is EV as an alternative. You could say that the battery manufacturing itself has your carbon emission, but overall, the more persistent release of your fumes by vehicles that use petrol and diesel can be omitted using your EV vehicles. But that again is a very fair point, that the carbon emission would be reduced for a lot of people, uh, that if they use public transport.
Do you have any questions?
Not at the moment.
Um, yeah, even I'm good. We could go to the next phase. Like if you don't have any questions.
Okay, great.
Huh? Yeah, let's go to the next phase. Feedback.
Yeah.
Yes, it was really
Oh,
good. We had so many points today, like both the sides, and that was good.
I like today. I like today. I mean, I didn't run out of points, so we were just not repeating points.
Yes, yes,
And we sort of touched upon
yes.
certain topics, so
E-
that was good.
Even in rebuttal phase, we were building onto points and like getting different points. That was really nice.
Exactly, exactly. For me, I think during the rebuttal phase, remember I told you about the emergency situation, and I mentioned health and buying something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think those were not very good points for me personally, because for health, immediately after I said health, ambulances came into my mind. I was like, okay, that is there. So you see, I took a pause to think,
Yes,
and I
yes,
did not get something. Again, if you want to buy something, there's Blinkit, right? That's solved again.
yeah.
So that's why I think those two were sort of iffy points for me.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it was pretty decent.
Yeah, maybe the emergencies examples were little off. Like you could have given emergency, like
Yeah,
you have to go to meet somebody at the spot, and there's something came up. That would have been a better example, maybe. And even I
yeah,
took time because I was thinking like what other examples could I cover. Then I was like, let it be. Let me cover both the points on. Yeah. Do you have any feedbacks?
I think you were great. I think we both were building on points today.
Yeah.
So it was really good.
Yes.
Today's debate.
Yes.
That's pretty much it. And you
Uh,
had very good points. Like there's some points like carbon footprint. I just can't argue, right? It is facts.
yes, it's fact.
So
But still, saying about EV was also good. Like we did one debate on EV. I and Ayush. Like it's there in the channel. It was also a very good like discussion. Okay,
oh,
I have some points for you. Firstly, in the rebuttal phase, don't club all the questions together. It like just take one by one. Like ask one question. Let me answer. If you have to build something, just build on that question and bring other question. Like when you tell all the question together, I could give some very irrelevant answer and I could just escape through all the four questions. Like even if any debate setting, if you ask all questions together, then it might really not go well. Okay.
got it. Yes.
Also, you could have asked me about the road connection. That one point that you mentioned about the road connectivity is not good, and so public transport can't be reached to all the places. That could have been a very good question if you had asked. Like it would have made me little in the more vulnerable side. Um, Another feedback for you: you used very less amount of less a sort of, and which was really nice. Like
I'm trying,
yes, yes,
but I still use some.
but
And then whenever I use that word now, it sort of hits me, you know.
yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm using it. So I've become a little more conscious about using that word.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But you reduced it. That is nice. Uh,
yeah,
okay, one thing is about me is I felt I was trying to build some transitions today, but that worked, or I don't know if it did not work. For example, if I have to go on something on larger aspect, if I zoom out and I have a wider view and then talk about international transports, like the transitions, I need to build something more into that. I don't know if the intro was bad. Maybe going through there's one thing like if you have to persuade anybody, you can do it by three ways. Like if I have to convince something for you, I can do it only by three ways. One is I be very authentic person. Like if Elon Musk comes tomorrow and Elon Musk says that the jobs are going to increase in AI or some field, then he's a really authentic person. You will listen to him because he's gone through all this, right? So if you are authentic, people will listen to you. But that is not the case here. Like we can't be authentic just before the debate. So we can hunt onto two other things, which is speaking logical. uh, Building some logics and like reducing, maybe telling some statistics and reducing array this much is there, so I believe that this is correct. Or the third thing which you could do was building emotional connect. It is called logos, ethos, and pesos, I guess. So you can persuade somebody through emotions, like making emotional belief, like do you know it creates a lot of environmental problem and like it would hurt our in the future, that smoke and all. I could make you trap into emotional side. So these are three ways to do this, and that is also why I had started in the intro bringing my emotional nature. Like I could just nap, but it did not really go well because it is very subjective, right? I realize that you don't really like bus travel for naps, but somehow I got the best sleep in my life in the bus. I don't know why. And it is really subjective. So these are basically, I told you those three things for any other debate if you want, or any other settings if you want to persuade. There are three things ways to do that: at ethos, pathos, and logos. And the second thing, it did not really turn good for me because it was very subjective. Okay. Where this makes me realize that you could have given some personal touch, like owning, like having my first bike. That was a really good feeling for me, and like I should take care. I learned to take care of the bike. In that perspective, you could have like shown a very good shown a lot of human qualities. Like we don't really go to care of public transport, right? But we, many of the people treat their bikes as their ownings and as like their babies. And so you could have gone in that line, or even bicycle, small trips in your vicinity, or going out with the, you mentioned bicycle little later, but you could have given some emotional side as well. Or when I had asked you about the interstate transport, then you could have also mentioned about like people go with on the bike for Ladakh trips and like long trips. That would have also been a good point. So yeah, just a feedback for you. Maybe you could have gone in a little personal touch as well. Uh, Nextly, if there's any okay, one more key takeaway which I have learned so far. Like if there's any topic, right? If there's a topic like shall we build a bus stop here outside my house, okay, then there are five things to consider, and it is called a pestle, pestel. Okay, P stands for political. First, check if there's any political scenarios. E E is economical. Check monetarily, like if it will be profitable or not. S, society, like if the society has some belief that if there is a society who does not believe in having bus stops, then you will have to also check that. T, technology, you will have to check if the technology will be suitable there. E, environment, you'll have to see environmental concerns. And L, sorry, six, L is about legal, if it is you are legal to build it. And I really liked how we both considered, like, and we spoke on environment, we spoke on economy. Political maybe was out of context here, but in the other debate we could remember the framework, pestel. Yeah, just wanted to share the knowledge. uh, Another good thing about today's discussion was we both had really good examples to support whatever we said. Every point we gave literally more than one example, which was really a good side. And yeah, that is it, Dipti.
Yeah, I'll actually keep that in mind. I actually made a note of that pestle thing
Yeah.
because that is really good if you want to come up with points
Yes, yes, really
immediately,
helpful.
impromptu. Yeah.
Yeah, shall we think from the other perspective?
Yes.
Also, I would like to tell about one point that I had in my mind, but I did not really say it. Is risks of accidents, like when you are traveling on your public bike, on a private bike, the risk of accidents are more. And like since more and more people are using like two wheelers and four wheelers, and the entry, the licensing is becomes very easier nowadays, like very corruptive. So it becomes very the risk of accident increases. Whereas in public transport, there is the accidents are little not that much. But when I was trying to mention that point, then that the airplane recent Ahmedabad incident came to my mind, and then I was like, I will not go in that line. But just felt to share it.
Mm. That would actually be a very good point too, because that is something I believe too.
Yeah,
Because
right.
when you're in a bus, you're sort of safe, right? You're with everyone else, so chances of you sort of getting hurt in an accident would really decrease.
Decrease,
So
yes. And
yeah.
that is also one more thing that always came in my mind, like when you own a private vehicle, you'll have to literally drive it throughout, and like you'll have to be very cautious while driving. But it is not the case in the public transport. You have some trust to somebody, and then you can just go and like do whatever you want. Yeah, Diptesh, we'll go through other phase, thinking from the other perspective.
Yes.
Can you start, Diptish?
Yes.
Uh, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'll do it. Okay, to support the motion that uh, public vehicles are better than private vehicles, I have a few points that are not very different from the ones mentioned previously, but still worth mentioning is what I felt. The first point was the safety and the ease of mind. Is it's ease of mind, right?
Yes. Yes, right.
Okay,
Is a-
yeah, the safety and ease of mind that and the fact that you don't have to worry about driving the vehicle, to worrying about accidents and stuff is far more better in public transport than private vehicles. Again, not everybody is of age to drive, right? uh, which means there has to be a public transport like school buses that have to be in place to get people to all of to places. Second, I feel uh, from a personal experience too, public vehicles and buses really help you connect with people, right? I remember we traveled, all of our friends used to, whoever was going to that particular place that I was going, we all used to travel together, keep seats for each other. And even when the bus was super crowded, what we used to do was we used to halfway I used to sit, then I used to give the seat to someone else. So that really teaches you how to share, how to
Hmm.
creates bonds and helps you uh, connect with people better. Again, these experiences are gained through other ways like sharing, but this is just one way to gain it.
Hmm.
Another thing, and a very strong point, is price, right? At least in India, we have half tickets, right, for students. I believe that's very, very, very helpful for a lot of people, especially students. One, it reduces the economic burden.
Hmm.
You don't have to pay a lot, you don't have to worry about traveling. Two, it encourages more and more students to go to school, right? Imagine if it was very expensive to go to school. A lot of families might not be able to afford it too, right?
Yeah.
So reducing that bar would was a very is a very good incentive for people to travel to schools. It reduces the burden on parents too. And another, if you talk about environment, right? Say the point that private vehicles you can offer EVs. I believe a lot of public transport and buses are also transitioning to EVs.
Yes. Yes.
So you have EV buses,
Yeah.
and EV buses are getting a lot mainstream now.
Mm-hmm.
So that is handled through public transport too. So these are the points.
Yes. That was really a good point about bus with EV. I should have thought about that. But really good one, Diptesh. Okay, from your side, also I would like to highlight one thing that you have done, which was really which is worth mentioning here. You ended with a point which was more had more weightage, so that you could leave some impact, and that is also a good takeaway. That anytime we are speaking, end with something that would give a good like summarization or good impact. Really nice. Okay, speaking from the your side, why private vehicle is better. Firstly, as I've also mentioned about the emotional nature, I wish you had spoken a little more emotion side, like first bike or having bicycles. Or I would also like to highlight on to having like practices like on Dasera we make puja of vehicle. That is also a good thing. Like you consider it as your wealth, and that again highlights that again aligns to the cultural side. Next point, I'm little dicey of how we could have presented that, but I'll just mention it. The first invention of the wheel, it was for personal use, not for public use. So from there only so many things began. So maybe in the introduction you could have spoken from the wheel side, which would have made some sense. My third point would be about the night travel. When you mentioned about emergencies, I think you should have highlighted on traveling at night. Like you don't really, I have never traveled by public vehicle at night. In India also, I don't even know if they exist. Buses exist at night? Very few, I guess, right?
Yeah, I think the max time is 8:30 ish
Yes.
for buses.
So after that, like if there's any emergency at 12 a.m. or 1 a.m., that time maybe night travel is for night travel you should have at least one vehicle with you. Uh, and my next point will be, as I mentioned about the parking space or the noise pollution or the environmental concern. One thing you could have mentioned about is the system of carpooling, which is very like many people do it, and you even earn money through that. Like you share, you divide your and it is very economical, and like if there are some colleagues, you can just come together and do that. And I think it was a very good point and you should have mentioned it. And yeah, these are few points which I could think from your perspective.
Yeah, pretty good point. I actually love that wheel point. I would never think in that perspective,
Uh-huh.
and that would actually be such a good intro.
Yes, yeah,
So yeah,
improvise, it was
pretty good.
really good. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the next phase? Okay, group discussion. What do you
Shoot.
think?
Oh,
What do you think? Like, public transport is good or owning a vehicle is good?
I personally am in support of public transport because
Hmm.
I have used it for a really long time,
Hmm.
and that is how I've sort of spent my whole 4 years of going to college. And even now, I am not totally opposed of traveling through a public transport as long as where I want to travel is sort of walkable distance
Hmm.
from where the bus drops you.
Yes.
So I am in support of public transports.
Yes. Yeah, even my answer would not change. I would also stick to having public transport, but there are some like for the emergencies concerned, having at least one vehicle at home is really, I think, worth. And yeah, one of the major concern is only health emergency. Like something happens, then you have to like sometimes ambulances are also not at time. So yeah, uh, yes, but it also makes me realize about some things like connecting through some places. Like if there's any like not all the places are connected to public transport, and which makes me realize that currently I'm in UK right now, and here the system of the transport is really very good, and there's a lot of things we should as a like should have been implemented in India. Like almost all the corners are in the London is covered by the same by the bus, and the frequency of the buses are really very much uh, is far more. And I think these are some of the points which should have been in India too. And if those are maybe considered, the roads are more developed, I think the shift would be again to the public transport even there. uh, yeah, so I just felt like sharing that, at least the transport should really be good in India, and like it should be even our focus in the future to do something for the transport there. Yeah.
Yeah, I've also seen a video recently where I've heard that London has literally one of the best transport systems, one of the best in the world. So
Really, really, I
I
would.
think if that comes in, yeah, if that comes in India, I uh, truly believe that a lot of people would make a switch to public transport.
Public transport, yes. Some of the reasons why
So
people don't switch to public transport is just because of convenience, I guess. It is not
yeah,
this mentioned that there are 11 standing, but there are like a lot of people standing, and like you really don't feel that comfortable in the public transport. So maybe if all these things are done, or even is there any app for like public transport in India? Like, no, right?
I don't think there's a bus. I've not heard of a bus tracking app or something.
Yes, there should have been literally centralized, like governed by a central body. And there should be a proper tracking, like even here, if you stay at the bus stop, you could really see in the bus stop in how much time the bus will reach. So that is also a good feature there. Like such features should be implemented there, so that the people are more shifted to the public transport. If all these things are done, then I totally 100% support public transport over private transport. Just if it is 60-40 right now because of the convenience part.
Yeah, I think in
Even one.
India we do have an app for trains. That's it.
Yeah, train.
It was launched very recently.
Yes,
Some
yes.
My Train or
My train,
something.
my train only. Yeah, I have used the train app. It's really good, the
Yeah,
train.
the blue color one.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes. I go train. I don't remember the name, but it is that was. I'm speaking in that contextually. Something should also be made for the buses. And now since
exactly.
it is also EV, I think the implementation won't be that difficult because it will be very easily digitized, like since many EV buses are also coming. This also makes me realize about the transport for the people with PWD, with some physical disabilities. Like in India, you can't really imagine somebody going with the wheelchair inside the bus, right? But here, even for wheelchair, there will be some tray coming down, and then people go using wheelchair, and there's specially a space allocated to wheelchair people, so that entire commute could be very easy. I think all even these considerations should be taken, and the such features should be implemented, and which will really make the transport really good in India.
Yeah, I think it all boils down to the civic sense in India, and that
Yeah.
is like a whole different topic
Whole different
to
topic.
discuss on.
Yes, we
Yeah,
can have one day a group discussion. Like, I'm not saying that so that we could have some influence, like in the future also, like when we be some authentic person, then we could have a certain like certain projects for implementing this in our own nation. We will have a talk
exactly.
on this, okay? It is really a very important topic, I guess.
Yes,
Yeah, that is it. Anything else do you want to discuss on public versus private transport, or can we go ahead?
I think we can go ahead.
We
We've
can go ahead.
discussed most.
Most, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, ChatGPT phase.
Oh, yes.
Also, Diptesh, I had one doubt. Are the buses in which usually commute, are they public or private bus? I never understood the difference between both in like you are not audible.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, this is what I understand. The whole private bus thing is that it's owned by some individual.
Mm-hmm,
Like uh, we have Kadamba, right?
mm-hmm.
That looks over all of the public transport. So the bus is not, I think, owned by Kadamba is what I should say. Not really sure. It's owned by some private individual, and that's why it's called private. And it operates at its own time, so there's no regulation for it.
Huh.
Whereas for Kadamba, that is like a typical public transport. You can expect a Kadamba to
Oh,
reach at the exact time.
yes, yes.
So that is the difference.
I think one instant solution that comes to my mind is making more public, governed by the government or the body. I think that would really help if we reduce the private buses. Like even in private buses, they are like they have some sort of competition. Like, I will reach first. I'll pick most of the people. So having it in the public side would really make a huge difference, I feel. What do you feel, Diptesh?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was some attempt in this direction. It was called Marji Bus, some
Maji bus,
purple
yes,
color bus.
yes, yes.
Yeah, but I think I didn't hear about it anymore. I think it was boycotted by all of these private because somehow it affects their personal revenue too, right? I think it's the same scene with taxi
Taxi and
also.
Ola, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Exactly.
Maji bus. Even I have traveled few, and they used to even give tickets. You know that machine where tickets used to be generated, like Kadamba.
I've never traveled in a Marji bus.
I,
4 years.
I've traveled. Yeah, that bus was really very convenient. I would say it was really good.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's do ChatGPT face.
Yeah.
Can we start, Diptit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to go ahead?
Yeah. I got a few points that were not mentioned perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
one of them was politically One of them was political. So as you know, most public transport is underfunded, right? Mismanaged and very neglected.
Mm-hmm.
The roads are not connected, for example. which makes it very unreliable. Say I want to travel, I'm not 100% sure that there will be a bus
Yes.
at that particular time.
Yes.
So that is, again, that has a role. Politics has a role to play in that. Another point I got was, I think I touched upon it during the economics thing, the motor industry, but this is like a different perspective of it.
Mm-hmm.
The point is job creation, since a lot of people work in the motor industry, like engineers and stuff. If people stop buying private vehicles, then they would be in a loss, and eventually jobs would be affected.
Yes.
So yeah, those are the 2 points I got.
It's so nice that impromptu we tried to cover, like we sort of covered. I'm using sort of now, sort of covered all the all the points, right? Like there are very hardly 1 2 points which are new, but which we kind of covered in our talk. It's really nice. I have some points too, like which we did not really cover. One is about the status symbol, which I don't really like. It's not a good point to mention, but yeah, I would say when you have a private vehicle, it is like a status symbol for you. uh, when you mentioned about having cost, like it's when I was saying that public transport is more cost efficient, I would could have also mentioned this, that the when you own a vehicle, there is also maintenance burden, like you have to wash it, you have to see that it does not get rusted. So I should have mentioned that point. That is a very good point. You were asking me what is other term for ease of mind. Maybe you could have said peace of mind or mental relief. And what else? uh, okay, when I was saying that parking will be less, the better term for that would be reduces land use. I never use this term, like it is a good term to use, I guess. Land use. Lack of hygiene in public transport, one point you could have mentioned. And yeah, that is it. Yes. And also, one more thing I'll
Yep,
end with
pretty good.
is saying is like, if a nation has a good public transport, I think it is like a one of the best, like a symbol for the nation. Like it's well connected by public transport. And even if there is any tourist visiting your locality, and if they see that public transport could drop you to all the corners very efficiently, then I think even the tourists, from that side also, the tourists would have a good impression about the nation or about the region.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally agree.
Yes. Yeah, that is it. Diptesh, do you want to add anything, or can it we are good to stop the meet?
I think we've touched upon most
Most of
important
the points.
points.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
Yeah. Diptesh, just a thing. Just don't leave the meet. I stopped the sharing. I wanted to discuss something with you for maybe 5 minutes, and then we could end the meet. Okay.
yeah,
Yes. Okay. I'll just conclude this. Thank you for coming, Diptesh. It was really great talking on the topic public transport versus owning a vehicle, and it was amazing. Okay. Just bye. See you tomorrow, Diptesh.